All right. Hey, what's up, YouTube? Happy to share that the whole MNQ series of trading with Top Step to get it funded comes to a close. So managed to hit that $3,000 target that gets us the pass that we need. And I'm going to allude to that in a little bit more. As always, I want to start the video going over the results, some narrative, and then I'm going to jump straight into the recording of the video that was taken for the trade that was taken today. And then I'll close off the summary with a little lasting few words as well, as this was the end of the NMQ series for getting funded, but obviously the part two will be getting paid out. And so we'll lead into that conversation a little bit more in a bit. So I'm going to go over just to see so far this month with this account. So $3,000 you can see here. This specific Top Step account has a 74% win rate, a 3R profit factor. An average time hold of a trade is about 18 minutes, right? I think that for those who've been watching these videos, you can kind of see where that average comes from. Some of it comes from, either, being able to get my win quick, or some of it is just because on some certain days, I couldn't sit on the screen for long enough. So I had to just take what the market gave me and I had to walk, right? But, either way, just showing some stats around what accommodated to this. And again, obviously, I've talked to students and I've talked to others. They say 74%. That's an unreal win rate. And I think these days I average around that percentile, to be honest, right? I started off this journey this year when I was talking about futures trading. I was around 60 percentile, and I've kind of improved it kind of month over month with my peak in the mid 80s. I think it was mid 80s or high 80s, but nevertheless, win rate isn't everything, but I think that there are success factors for us as traders in many ways, right? We can either have a mediocre win rate with a great R multiple. We can have a high win rate with a low R multiple. I mean, I think whatever works for you. I think that's what's the most important. I think that every trader is going to have their opinion of what's the best for them, and I mean, obviously, I think that is to each our own, right? But I want to just highlight that factor here. Jumping straight into the calendar here, you can see here the final trade of today was this one. Basically, I trimmed for 30 points. I trimmed two contracts instead of one this time. And then I let the last runner run just to give me enough to be able to hit my 3,000. So over the course of this month, you can see again here, right? We've got about what, 14 trading days here, one losing day. But again, with a 74% win rate, there's obviously more losing trades than just one. I think I sound redundant for those who've been following me, who've been watching my content, right, my videos, but I highlight this a lot because some people, when they were looking at my prior months, right, like my full account size ones, when they would see that I did like 80,000, 70,000, $90,000 P&Ls, they're like, how is that even possible, Alan? Like, I don't believe it. I basically just showed you how through the series, right? And although I can't always record every single trade and all that stuff, because this is honestly has taken a lot of my time to do this. I know that it doesn't seem like it's a lot, but as a person who doesn't specialize in editing videos or anything like that, I got kids in the morning. There's a lot of things for me to have to actually do to kind of put this in together on top of everything I do already as an entrepreneur. But nevertheless, anything that you see here, you just add another zero to it, right? Quite easily is essentially what my regular trading days are like. And it's what I mean when I say that days will have losing trades, right? But it might not be a losing day, but there are losing trades within them, right? And so I think it's important for us to recognize that when we see results, we need to understand fully what those results represent and what goes behind them. So you know that there were losing trades, but nevertheless, though, with discipline, with patience, we were able to still finish majority of these days in the green. And so as you go into, well, you'll watch the video. I got the trade that I got in today, but yeah, I'm gonna jump straight into that right now. Let you guys watch that, and then at the end, I'll kind of close it off with some comments on what to expect next for the next part of this video. All right, guys. So I started off quite late today, actually, because for those who know in my Discord, I was quite under the weather today. So I did mention that last night already. That the likeliness of me making it to the New York Open is going to be very unlikely. So I slept in, I recovered, took some time. Also took some time to digest the charts a little bit before I even decided to do anything today, whether or not I was going to get trade at all. And I also, as you guys probably noticed, I didn't post about my trade from the day prior. And for those who are following on Instagram, I actually did share that on my Instagram. I had a lot of network issues. I don't know what's been going on lately. It's been a little bit more challenging as of late. I'm not sure if something has changed. I need to call my provider, but I even posted it. I had like 1 megabyte speed per second. Like it was wrecked, right? So it did affect some of the trading. It obviously forced me to want to bail on my position much sooner, but also the recording of the content, it wouldn't have worked because my network was just so splotchy, right? So I just posted some screenshots of some trades I took and the trade logs that I posted on the Discord, and I kind of just called it as that. But Obviously wouldn't have been right for me not to have captured the video for this one. And so I wanted to just share a little bit about that, right? So we're not too far away, and I'm about to actually take my entry here on my three micros as usual. And my reasoning for why I'm looking to take my trade here is because if you take a look at the chart right now, we found a bounce off the 23,622.75 white line there I driven there. And we moved our way up. Since then, we pulled back and we found our first support bounce with a very strong buying candle there as a resistance flip support around the 23,671 area. We pulled up, we came back down, and when we started pulling down, you start getting the sense of like, is this going to be a potential lower high? And I was watching, which is why I was waiting for some form of candle reaction to give me a sense. And I did like that the 2 minute candle we had just closed, which is why I kind of entered this position here. And so the slight differences for this trade that I'm doing right now from the prior ones is that because I don't need a lot to really pass this at this point, because I'm already at 52,800 for the balance, right? I initially put it here at like, 31 points or something like that for three contracts. But then I started thinking to myself as I was watching this trade play out, I was like, you know what, though? My target is literally right above the red bar pivot. And if I get wicked out, or ticked out, sorry, and then just get stopped out, that's going to be quite annoying. So, instead what I did was I actually kind of respected the original thought process. And I, instead of trimming one, I moved my trim to two contract trim, but I moved the target down to where the original 30 points would have been, which is actually below the red bar there, or slightly below the opening of that candle. So at least that way, if I were to, get ticked out, I get only ticked on one runner versus the whole position. So later on, you'll see that I do split the position in that regard, and I have one runner a few points higher, which obviously, based on the intro video, I did obviously hit the profit target. You'll also see that I moved my stop loss from 30 points to 15 points. And the reason why I do that is because as price was moving, the way I was looking at this was that if price were to go against me, that would very likely prove the structure that we could have continuation to the downside. And so then that would I don't need 30 points of a loss to tell me that I was wrong. So that's why I ended up moving it to 15 points after we had some price movement. So when you see that, you'll understand what I'm talking about. I am going to fast forward the rest of this video so that you don't get bored, like just sitting here watching this. But I will conclude this with more information and thought perspective as we close out this series and we move on to the next part two of the MNQ series. Hey guys, so as you can see, we obviously this comes to a close for the series, and so this kind of leads now into our part two, and I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about this, right, and some learnings. I've already had some questions asked of me, about, do I plan on still trading 3 micros while we're in the funded phase? And the answer is yes. The whole purpose of this thing, I know I sound redundant maybe by now, but for me, it isn't really about making money. It's not about getting paid out. This is purely educational, right? I know there are so many people in the space who are trying to figure out how to trade prop firms, how to get funded. And of course, every prop firm has different rules. And so it's obviously it's gonna be different for everyone, right? And I think the reason why I'm doing this is because I already obviously trade on the side, as those who follow me know. I post in the Discord all the time. I share them on Instagram. So I making money isn't really the reason why I'm doing this, because I'm already doing that on the side. So you can imagine whatever I'm doing on MNQ, I'm scaling to a higher size as well, right? But I want to go through and kind of share, I guess, kind of 2 points here, right? And of course, in the point of execution and trading, we don't talk about profit, right? We try to avoid that conversation because it can overwhelm us. It can make us do stuff on the market that really is just going to make us regret things, right? And all that type of jazz, right? So, but when it comes to the planning phase, it's kind of like when you're charting, right? When you're pre-planning before you start your trading day or pre-plan your overall trading goals, I'm sure you're going to have some monetary profit target to that, right? And that's a lot of times how I kind of predetermine even like what is digestible for me when I take trades from a points perspective. And I want to talk about the fact that, I know this process took 14 days to get paid out, and for many that's just too long for some people. But let me pose something here, right? And I think many of you guys can relate. I know so many people who have traded with prop firms who have blown account after account after account, some for 6 months, some for 12 months, some for longer, never really making it to the funded phase. Or if they get to the funded phase, they never get paid out. All for really, I don't want to maybe say the same reasons, but probably similar reasons, right? We tilt, we do dumb stuff on the market, we are too focused on arbitrary goals, right? All in which plays a role into why we struggle. And I think for the most part, you know, the game of it all, they know that. They know that. They depend on us falling victim to our human psychological weaknesses, right? Our greed, all of that, right? And I challenge those who say, Alan, it takes too long. Why not just size up? You could have passed so much sooner. And you're right. If I traded minis, I would have passed the account in 5 days. If I were trading one mini at a time, I would have passed it in 5 days easily, right? And that's on the low end. That probably maybe even 3 to 4 days, depending on the given day, right? Um, and if I was trading even larger size, you could say, oh, well, I could have done it even faster. Sure. But again, I think that behavior, though, especially when you're still learning the craft, it can be very detrimental to us because we can start telling ourselves that it's okay to do that. And I always preach to the students about, not validating bad behavior because you might not feel the detriment of that bad behavior in the decision now, but it will show in the form of long-term loss, mental burnout, and all of that stuff, right? So yeah, today it took me 14 days. So I mean, good news is that I was able to pass without having to pay the renewal of the subscription fee. And for those who know, Top Steps' 50K accounts are about $49 USD. So I was able to pass it before the subscription. So that's great. That's always great news, right? I think that there are traders out there who probably blow a 50K account once a week, from oversizing and all that type of stuff. And if you think about it, that's about $200 a month, assuming that there's 4 weeks in a month. You're burning $200 a month on evals, right? And that's assuming you're only buying the one account. If you're burning two a week, because maybe you're burning it every 2 to 3 days, you're burning through $400 a month. And we haven't even included the activation fee that comes with getting funded, assuming that you get funded and then you blow up afterwards, right? So I look at it as right now, I may have taken 14 days, but I would be one-upping against all those other individuals who may have blown multiple accounts already over the course of the start of this journey till now. And then the other perspective of like, would I still trade the micros going into the funded phase? I mean, absolutely. I think this is the whole wax on, wax off. I think it's just building the discipline and the results of being able to do so, right? And the way I look at it is that if I pace the same way that I've been pacing on the eval, but in the funded phase, well, that tells me that, and right now it's August 28th as I'm doing this recording, that tells me that by the end of September, there's a very good chance that I will probably have a $5,000 to $6,000 float size, assuming that I do the same, right? Again, it might be smaller than that, and that's okay, right? But that's what we're pacing towards. which means at the end of September, on the low end, I could probably still withdraw $1,000 USD, or I could withdraw 3,000. I mean, that's life-changing money, right? And it's not even, and aside from that, right, it's not even about the fact that I could pay myself that over the course of a month, but it's also the fact that I don't have to burn capital constantly buying accounts and resetting accounts. So you're saving yourself, with the smaller size, with the discipline, with the consistency from spending more money on accounts. But also, although it's slow and steady, you'll get to that payout phase at some point. Because they'd rather get that payout within a month, 2 months, or 3 months versus not getting one at all and just constantly burning and going through that vicious cycle that is the prop game. So that's just my 2 cents. I will continue. I don't know if I'll trade tomorrow's Friday action. We'll see. I'll see how I'm feeling, to be honest. I'm still very under the weather. Um, but yeah, I will absolutely continue trading three micros, and hopefully I'll be able to demonstrate to students in the community that I can get to that payout trading micros. It might take a while, but that's okay. But that is the next step of the journey for part two. There will be a part three, but let's focus on what's in front of us here first. So I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks, guys.